difficult than whistleblower at any percent. Mainly because of vocational block. Because if you don't get that dodge, it will lose you a lot of time. Because you'll just keep on
Apologies for
stumbling
that. We
for
were
ages.
almost having an intermission speed run, and then the audio decided to not work. Sorry about that, folks. We'll have
This
Scooby-Doo for
one's
you ready as soon as possible.
so we're just gonna make a beeline straight. I don't know why I didn't slam open that door. Oh well. So yeah, this run is extremely short. It's it's yeah, it's very short and it doesn't take super long to perform to do this. Like if you want to beat the game fast, you may as well just do this. So here we're gonna save and quit again, just to get more enter hops. Oh, I didn't hit the checkpoint. There we go. Just get more enter hops, so we can get to full speed faster. There we go. So now here comes up the trick where we can jump into window room. So we're going to close this door, do a door hop off of it, and then we're going to jump back. Sweet. So yeah, if you played main game, you'll realize exactly where we are. That bush there stops you from getting a hard fall, and for some reason developers didn't think to program any collision into that wall, so we can literally just run through it. Okay, so we're nearing the end right now, so I will give you a countdown. So time ends in 3, 2, 1, now. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's not a super complicated category.
Alright, we were so close to also speedrunning the intermission there, but technical difficulties came in between. But we're here. We've got Scooby-Doo, Night of 100 Frights, any percent, by Nestani and TFxMortal. You two, take it away.
Alright, everyone. It's just an exclusive trick to the Xbox version of the game that saves a ton of time that we've banned for this category for accessibility purposes. And today, joining me will be fellow runner and fellow person that will be racing, TFxMortal. Mortal, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's Mortal. I've been running this game for almost a year, and I'm a top runner in a lot of categories.
And today we also have Mr. Coley_02 joining us on commentary. Cole, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Coley. I'm a runner of this game as well, and it's an honor to be here and help commentate.
Alright, and we're actually just going to hop right into it. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go, and timer will start as soon as we start new game. Is everyone ready?
Yep.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights is a 3D platforming Metroidvania, meaning that there are a bunch of upgrades throughout the game that we're going to need to collect in order to access new areas and in order to beat the game. Now, there are a ton of these upgrades throughout the game, but we're actually only going to be collecting 3 of the major ones and 2 kind of smaller ones that we're only going to use like once or twice. And to get these, normally you have to beat bosses, so normally we have the Black Knight, the Green Ghost, and the Redbeard, but we're actually going to skip all 3 of those bosses because we actually don't need their inventions to get to Mastermind, which is the final boss. And so we're actually only going to fight 1 of the 4 bosses in the game, meaning that we're going to be skipping 75% of the game in this run. And the first thing you're going to notice is that we're actually going to go into the side room and collect these things called Scooby Snacks. This is the stuff that me and Mortal are running into. It's making that chomping sound like... And basically we need these to pay snack gates throughout the run, which are unavoidable, and we have to pay 4 of these in order to progress to the new areas because they block off certain sections. And so even though we're going out of our way kind of to collect these snacks, is actually the fastest way in order to get to the end of the game, just because of how many snacks we have to collect. And as you can see, this is a snack gate. First one is 25, but the last one we're going to pay is 850, and they scale up until then.
And the first thing we do here in Mana 1 is we hold upright and do a slide while the cutscene's playing to get a bit of distance. And then we go up the stairs and we do a trick called chandelier jump. It's very easy to miss, it's kind of difficult. Luckily, neither of us missed it. But then we talk to Holly, and she gives us the map. The reason we came in here to talk to Holly and get the map is because that's what spawns in the groundskeeper who lets us enter the fishing levels. Fun fact about the groundskeeper is that he's voiced by Don Knotts, and this is the only game that Don Knotts has voice acted in. But now that he's given us the shovel, we can dig up this flower and get the key, and getting that key unlocks the shop and or the fishing village levels, which we enter into now.
Yeah, so here in Shock 1 is a perfect time to talk about cycles. So enemies and obstacles run on a cycle when you enter a level, and depending on how fast or slow you move in the level, they're going to be in different spots. So the runners are going to try and use this by going through the level as fast as they can and making a cycle called Rat Cycle, which, as you're going to see in just a second, there's a bunch of snacks that are kind of being maneuvered around with rats, and if they collect all the snacks and not get hit by any rats, both of them made the Rat Cycle. There's a lot of cool cycles like that for optimization, and we're going to be happy to point them out as we go along and enter Shock 2.
At the start of this level, we need to watch a 10-15 second long cutscene with Shaggy, where he comes down from a pelican in the sky for some reason, and tells us that we need to throw him onto that life preserver and swing from his legs to reach a crate to our right. But we actually skip doing this by doing a jump called Rubber Band Skip, which is just a jump without holding the run button to get a tiny bit more height to get on the crate without Shaggy, and you'll see that a lot throughout the run, where Shaggy tells us to do something and we just completely ignore him and do what we want because it's faster. You'll also notice these hooks are on cycles, just like Cole mentioned in Shock 1, so we know how to maneuver around them. We then paid our second snack gate of the run, the 50 snack gate, and we're entering into the pier levels.
Yep, so here we're introduced to tar, which you can see right here, a sticky substance that only allows us to walk, and we can only jump and run when we're off it. So, to avoid walking on it as much as possible in this upcoming room, we're actually going to do what's called tar strats. And there's a very small window where Scooby's floating above the level, and Mortal got it right there. You can jump on the barrel right there and grab a few extra snacks, and it saves a little bit of time. But immediately right after this level, we're going to start doing the biggest route change of this year, known as Fishy Skip. There's normally 4 levels called Fishy Clues for Scooby-Doo, and we are going to skip them. The first part of doing this skipping of Fishy process is going to be doing a Void Warp in the previous level, Pier 2. And how Void Warps work is that every single level in this game exists in a void. And if you can get out of bounds in the level and hop into that void, you can actually trigger a failsafe that the developers put in to put you back into the level. And so they're going to clip through the water right here, and they void warp. And this just so happens to be exactly where we want to go. Fun fact and a little flex, I found that consistent method for the void warp on this version of the game after it being super duper whooper hard. And next we're gonna do Coast 1, which is a great time to talk about more movement strats, specifically charging. So as you can see, charging is the fastest way to move in this game, but you might be wondering, well, why don't the runners charge like all the time? That's because how charging works is that it actually starts off really, really slow, and as you continue charging, that's when you build up to your max speed. So sometimes it's actually slower to not charge, and instead they just normally run, as you can see them do a lot in this level. We're going to death abuse right here and move on to the next part to skip these fishy levels. And this is called Fish Clip, or informally known as Fish Cringe, because this is arguably the most annoying part of the entire Any% speedrun right here. How it works is that at the end of this level, you're going to see a bunch of boxes, and in those boxes are 4 keys that we need to unlock a door at the end of the level. 3 of these keys are really easy to get, without using the helmet, which is a power-up that we don't have right now. The helmet would normally break these boxes, but since we don't have that power-up, we're just going to have to clip through the boxes. So, as you can see, really easy to do. The first 2 are really easy, but it's this third one that causes a lot of people trouble. So what we're going to do is we're going to lure this fish monster towards a specific position that we want next to this box, and hopefully that'll allow us to clip through the box and grab the key. As you can see, it's not very consistent. Nestani got it pretty quickly. Mortal's going to get it, and we are just going to roll right into Coast 2.
In Coast 2, we're going to be making a cycle known as Zero Cycle. Now, Zero Cycle is basically just making past this first box without getting smashed. I almost got smashed, that was very sus, but we did not. And then we're going to make our way into Coast 3. Now, in Coast 3, this is basically, so why we want to skip fishies is because we want to get 2 more upgrades throughout the run. We want to get the helmet and the smash. And we're actually going to backtrack and get the helmet in a bit. But actually, Coast 3 ends and like transitions into Which Way, which is the level right before the smash upgrade. And so the reason that we skip Fishy is that normally we'd have to go through Fishy after getting the helmet and in order to get to Coast. But essentially we just get to Coast early, and then by getting to Coast early, we skip all of Fishy because there's actually a warp gate conveniently at the very end of Coast 3, which I'm about to use to warp back to Mystery Machine, and we're going to make our way to the helmet. And so by just kind of going out of our way just a little bit, we use this gate to warp, and then now we have successfully completed the Fishy skip trick. And actually, this would also be a good place for any readings if you all are doing those. I don't know, but if you all are doing readings, this would be an excellent place for them. Lost Tramp? If not, I can keep talking. I'm really good at talking. So in Hedge 1, you're going to see a lot more of this charging movement, where we're essentially just going to be we're going to be not dying, hopefully. And basically, we're charging and really trying to cut these corners so that we don't... basically, we're trying not to hit the walls, because actually, if you actually hit walls or rub up against walls or any invisible walls, you actually slow down. So we're trying to cut these corners as fast as possible, but without actually rubbing up against anything, because when we rub up against things, we actually slow down. And so a big part of Hedge 1 and Hedge 2, and pretty much all the Hedge levels, is the tight turns that we have to make in order to really optimize our movement in these levels. Now, going into Hedge 2, we're going to try to make a cycle known as Yeet Cycle, which is a pretty finicky trick, and, you know, most of the time you're not getting this trick, but we're just going to try to make this trick right now. I did not get it. I don't know if Mortal is going to get it, but
Yeah,
we're just going to...
I didn't either.
Yeah, okay, you didn't either. Let's go. But we're just going to keep going, and we're going to set up for a trick known as SCS, or Skull Cliff Skip. Now, normally, we're on our way to the helmet right now, and if you've played this game casually, you know that in order to get the helmet, you have to go through the rest of the hedge maze into the greenhouse and the hill levels. But instead, we're actually going to clip through a gate in the back of Hedge 3 in order to make it to Skull Cliff. And if we actually go through the Skull Cliff levels backwards, we are actually going to get pooped out pretty much right at Helmet 3, which is where the helmet is located. So actually, by going a little bit out of our way and going backwards to a later half of the game, we actually save about 2 minutes rather than just going straight and direct to the helmet. And then we just do that by holding up left on the D-pad, and now we are in Misbehaving. You can actually do that one at home. All you have to do is just hold up left on the D-pad, and you'll actually just clip straight through. And now we're in Misbehaving Cosmic Haven, which again, if you've played this game casually, you'll know that Misbehaving obviously leads to Misbehaving 2, but also in order to get to Misbehaving, normally you have to go through all the Skull Cliff levels. But instead, we're actually going to go backwards, and we're going to go into Skull Cliff 4. And it's actually very important that we're going into Skull Cliff 4 backwards so that we can set up and do a Void Warp, which I will let Mortal talk about right now.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to do when we enter Skull 4 is grab a snack box and then jump onto a sign to then try and land on an invisible ledge in between the stalactite and the wall. Luckily, I got it first try, and then we can get on the top of this cave area and traverse out of bounds to this hole in the geometry where if we get enough distance, we can avoid a death plane and Void Warp. As Nestani mentioned, we're going through these levels backwards, so Void Warping in Skull 4 there actually puts us to the beginning, which is exactly where we want to be, and that allows us to skip the longest level in any percent.
And now that we've skipped that really long level, it's about, like, what, 2 minutes long is that level? And we basically just made it about 30 seconds. So we cut down a lot of time there, and then we're going to try to make this cycle into Skull 3 here, which is basically just getting the snack by this caveman. I should get it. This snack right here. Now, snacks can actually save or lose you time. So actually being able to make that cycle and getting extra snack is actually more important than it seems, because we're about to pay a 500 gate and then immediately after pay an 850 gate. So if you think we have a lot of snacks, we don't even have 850, nor do we have the 500. We do have the 500, but we don't even have 850 as of right now. I think I will at the end of this level, question mark? I don't know. But we're also going to make another cycle at the end of this level known as Boulder Cycle, which is just getting past this last boulder here without having to jump around it, and it looks like I've made it, and I'm assuming Mortal did as well. And then we're going to make our way into Skull 1. And Skull 1, we're kind of going to do kind of a Hail Mary jump, but usually this trick is pretty consistent, but it's Also pretty easy to just fall right through. I'm notorious for falling through, but luckily I did not this time. Let's go. And we're going to make our way, and now we're going to be entering Helmet 3, where the helmet is located.
All right, so here in Hill 3, we're going to immediately try and go for another boulder cycle. If you see over on the left side, there's the hill back there in the background, and basically once you start climbing that hill, there's going to be there's going to be a boulder that rolls down the hill. And basically the cycle is that you just run past it. Both of them got it right here. Boom. Easy money. But as you're climbing the hill, we are about to get, as Nestani said, the helmet power-up, which will allow us to kill enemies, push buttons, etc. So very useful stuff. And once they get the helmet power-up, which you'll see in right there, awesome. They're actually going to death abuse so that they can go back down to the level faster and warp very quickly. And once they touch the warp gate, they're going to warp all the way back to Coast 3, which will effectively skip those fishy levels we have been talking about. And immediately, we are going to run into Which Way to get the Super Smash power-up. And this is where we're going to start seeing frame perfects. So what a frame perfect hit really is when Scooby is charging and hits an enemy, if you let go of B at the right moment, you can actually skip an animation that Scooby normally plays when getting hit by an enemy. You saw Mortal get it just there with the Tar Monster. And you're going to see a lot of frame perfects in this run from this point onward. You might think that it doesn't save that much time, but it definitely does add up, and I'll point it out when it really starts adding up later. But you're about to see some more cool movement tech and frame perfects entering this next level, Lighthouse 1.
So the first thing we do in Lighthouse 1 is we break this crate and then we try and get a frame perfect on the button. Luckily I got it, and that'll just help us get to the top a bit faster. But basically what that button did was it started to elevate our third power-up of the run, the Super Smash, up, and we have to kind of like race it to the top. Since we hit the button so early, we can afford to bonk about 2 or 3 enemies here before we won't actually make it to the top. Luckily it's not too difficult by just utilizing that tech of charging and making Scooby's body invincible, but a lot of new runners struggle with it, so it can be quite difficult. Once we make it to the top, we attempt another frame perfect. I wish I didn't miss that snack box, and I missed the frame perfect too, nice. But that's our third power-up of the run, the Super Smash, and it's basically just a ground pound and lets us hit more buttons and planks and enemies.
And going in Lighthouse 2, I'll also open up if you all have any quick readings, and if not, I can keep going. But we're basically about to make it to the final part of the run, where we're going to skip pretty much 50% of the game. And just real quick about Black Knight, that we haven't mentioned him at all because he gives us the Colossus power-up, which is kind of useless considering that we don't really encounter any tar in this run besides at the very beginning with tar strats, so we just don't need to go fight him at all.
Yeah, it's pretty nice stuff. And as Nestani mentioned, yeah, we are going to skip 50% of the game by doing 2 tricks that the runners are about to do as we're entering the end game here. One of the tricks is called RBS, and the other trick is called GGS. RBS stands for Red Beard Skip, GGS stands for Green Ghost Skip, not Green Beard. And these are just 2 bosses that we fight in the game, and they accumulate to basically being 50% of the game. Most of these tricks are very similar, as they require very specifically timed jumps. They require specifically timed jumps to attach and land on invisible ledges on the wall. And once we jump on these ledges, this will allow us to access areas or entrances that we are otherwise not supposed to. So here in Creepy 2, they're about to do Redbeard Skip. They're going to get these snacks here in the side room. And this is normally where we would save Shaggy from jail, but instead we're just going to ignore him. And we're going to jump on this invisible ledge right here that you can see Mortal jumping on, grabbing the key, hitting the magnifying glass to skip the cutscene. And right there is RBS. Nestani is not far behind him at all. And in this level, we're immediately going to do GGS. And depending on how fast you do GGS, you actually get different bat cycles. And landing on the bats will allow you to go over to the other side. Mortal got the fastest cycle, known as half bat cycle. Looks like Nestani is going to as well. Very, very nice. And once they reach this other part of the lab, they want to avoid the electricity because it's instant death, and you're going to see, just like Mortal did in Nestani, rail jump, which allows them to just jump up to that rail without jumping on a bunch of moving platforms, and they'll hit the button to stop the electricity and move on to Lab 2. At this point, they should have 850 snacks, or else they're losing a lot of time. And we're going to do Lido Skip, which Mortal did super fast, and you'll see Nestani do in a sec. And it's basically where you land on a bunch of ledges off camera to skip half of this level, and you just pay that 850 snack gate, and we are entering Mastermind. We're about to go fight the final boss and complete the game in under 20 minutes. So, yep, we got Shaggy hanging from his dear life with the shark. We're just gonna ignore him.
Yeah, we're actually going to ignore him and go to the back half of this level and enter the door in the back, and we're actually going to do a very similar method to what we did at SCS, and we're just going to hold up left and just jump right through the door. And then now we're basically at Mastermind and at the Mastermind room, and we're just going to jump over some acid. And if you're worried about Shaggy's health and if he's okay, don't worry. You can see him back there with everyone else in the gang. He's fine. He didn't die to the shark. We're all good. And then we're going to clip through this wall here and basically skip through the first phase of the Mastermind boss fight. Normally there are about 3 waves of enemies, but instead we're actually only going to be fighting 2 waves of enemies because clipping through this wall here basically saves... I don't know why, but it just skips 1 phase of the boss fight. One of you two might know why, but I don't. That's for sure.
There's a cutscene triggered. Yeah.
Oh,
there's a cutscene triggered.
The cutscene activates the first phase, but we skipped that. Yeah.
Yep, and so after all these enemy waves and pushing the button, we're going to be done with part 1 of the Mastermind fight. This is also a place where you'll see them try and get as many frame perfects as possible, because that time save really adds up and that can get you a much better endgame. But here, entering the second part, what the Mastermind is going to do is he's going to spawn on the floor. Where he spawns is completely RNG, but the timer is going to stop for these runners when he gets hit into the electricity in the background. It looks like that, yeah, Mortal did not get great RNG.
So it's the worst RNG you can get.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And,
Hopefully Nestani
time
is
will
better.
end me now. That was time.
Very close race, though.
Yeah, that was close.
And time is about to end for me.
Nestani got 2 hit.
And
Not too
just
bad.
a second. And hopefully right now. All right. And that is Scooby-Doo 9 over 80%. On my mark, mine was 1943-ish. So, pretty
Mine was
good run.
1927.
So let's go.
Yeah, very
Both
close.
sub-20s. That's
Yeah.
an easy clap right there. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Just some quick shout-outs. I don't have anything to shout out on my YouTube, I guess. If you look up Nestani Scooby on YouTube, you can get me. But other than that, I don't really have any shout-outs. Except for, to Ryan and Theory. He got me into the game. That's my boy, Ryan and Theory.
Now it's
And
time to
then,
get to the
if you all
bottom
want
of
to
this
shout
mystery.
yourselves out, you can.
Come on, gang. Let's see who the mastermind really is.
I stream this game quite often on Twitch, so you can follow me on Twitch, TFxMortal, if you want to see runs of this live.
And I also stream on Twitch as much as I can. You can find me at twitch.tv/Coldy_02.
I think with that, we're good. Thank you all for having us. Appreciate it.
Yep, thank you so much for showing us this game. So, our fun obviously isn't over yet. We still got a couple of games here. So, coming up, we have If the Puppy Playtime by Burgers. So, don't go anywhere, folks. And thank you again to TFxMortal and Nestani for running this game for us. Catch you around, folks.
As I was saying, let's see who the mastermind really is.
I think originally the strat was to lose, and then we realized it's a little bit faster to win.
Yeah,
Now
the other
we're
one.
going to acrobats.
Take it away, Staria.
Yeah. So this is one of the easiest levels in the entire game. This one's like you have to swing with a little bit of force in this one, and this one you can actually swing it. Actually, I'll explain it as I do it.
Set, go!
So I can actually swing a little bit before they come out of the cannon. Like right there, I swung before they come out of the cannon, and that's like a pretty small optimization in this minigame.
don't want them to go on the tile, which is the game's main purpose, because that's slow, because you have to go through all that cutscene. So it's just faster to lose every one of these.
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice. This game's actually pretty fast-paced. There isn't really much cutscenes. Like, it's just you go to the minigame and you move on to the
What
next
is
one.
up, gamers?
It's amazing.
As I just said, we've still got lots and lots of marathon coming right at you. We've got Poppy Playtime by Burgers coming up very shortly.
Yeah, for like a reference, the world record
And
from NAX is about
after that, we've also got Scooby-Doo Unmasked, so another Scooby-Doo game. Wolfenstein, The Old Blood sneaking. We've got lots and lots of good games coming up. So, we have lots and lots of good games. Why is that number in the bottom left not rising up?
This one's pretty easy. You kind of just shake. You gotta shake it once. So
make sure to donate in the chat to get the link to our Tiltify campaign for the Organization for Autism Research, and we will
complete, I'd say, like acrobats,
make sure
and then you can really start calming down.
that all of your money
Acrobats and clowns are
goes towards straight that because we're using Tiltify. So we don't see a single cent of that. For those who know, it isn't going for an intermediary. All of your money is going straight to the charity. So
is the hardest
if
part.
you like the organization, if you like what they stand for, and I think all of us do, then you can donate to them by following our Tiltify campaign. And also, don't forget, for just $10 you can be entered into our prize raffle, win some sweet games and HIG merchandise. I'll tell you more.
What I've gone out of it,
After the
it's
short break.
faster just to lose and just mash A.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's not that many mini games that you just like mash a button. Well, actually, it's like only I think there's only 2 mini games that you just mash a button and you win or you lose.
May I come in for a second?
Yes, you may.
I'd just like to thank Metal Gear Speedrunners for the big raid with a party of 45. Thanks a lot for that.
Oh, thank you everyone for that.
Alright.
Alright, now we got Highwire, dude. So the Highwire...
Yeah, you want to explain it.
Okay. Highwire is completely just falling, dude. Like, all you have to do is just go forward